Hey Kurt, how are you?
Hey, Chris. Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well today. But I'm wrestling with a thought that I'd like to share with you, and the idea is this: what I am unable to say controls me. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Brimstone Coaching Podcast. My name is Chris Godfredson. I'm here today with my partner, co-founder of the Brimstone Coaching Group, Kurt Bush. Kurt, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Good to be here.
That's great. Yeah, we had a conversation in our last episode around the idea of emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, and the impact that that has on a working world,
Yeah.
the way in which leaders show up in spaces and places, impacts life. And I've been doing a little thinking and writing on this topic lately. And that phrase, what I'm unwilling to say or unable to say controls me, I think is at the core of the way that I
Mm,
think about emotional intelligence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want you to say more. Yeah, say more about that sentence that you said to spark us right away today.
Yeah. So can I do it in the form of a story?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, uh, uh, in a previous life, in another season of my life,
There it
I
is.
ran a business and I had an employee that showed up every single day at 9:07.
Okay.
We open at 9 and every single day, 9:07.
Yeah.
This person was the first line of offense when people came into the business. This person made deposits. This person answered the phone, did all of those things. This person did not run my calendar or schedule appointments or do all those things because every single day, 9:07.
Mm, mm,
And I had a growing sense of frustration about this. Like this went on for
yeah.
about a decade.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
a decade. And what's more, I let it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, here's what I want to say. Like, anybody who's listening or who has their ears on to this story, this is not about the employee showing up at 9:07 every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about that.
Yeah.
What's true, like I did have conversations along the way, but it was not worth the hassle, in my opinion. It was only 7 minutes. And sometimes I think we let the idea that there's a
Yeah.
social element to decisions that we make get in the way of us actually making decisions as leaders.
Yeah. Interesting. A social aspect.
Yeah. So this person was well liked. Like what meaning? Here's what I want to say. What meaning is going to be made in a small town business, in a small community, when you fire somebody?
Oh boy, that meaning is vast. The meaning is I mean there's any number of them and they're all bad.
Exactly. And so like here's what I want to say. Like the thinking here is that the only thing I have any say over, any control over is me.
Yeah.
And how I can't control what people would say if I
Yeah.
would was to have let her go.
Yeah.
But Henry Cloud famously said, "You get what you create and what you allow." I was
Mm,
clear, like the business day starts at 9 o'clock every day,
yeah.
9:07. And I didn't create that, but I allowed it.
Yeah.
And I already listed one of the reasons that I allowed it. What are
Yeah.
other people going to say?
Yeah. Yeah. So how sorry, can I ask follow up?
Of course, you do not need to. I'm not a coaching client. You do not need to ask me if you can ask a question.
Can't
Yeah,
shut it off,
it's
Chris.
okay though.
Um
Ask the question.
you use the phrase, I mean, you said that this would control you.
Yes.
How and what is that, how does that manifest for you over that decade?
Well, I was increasingly like I was always frustrated. I would say that my joy was often stolen
Yeah.
because here she wanders in
Yeah.
and I didn't treat her with dignity and respect. Wow, I've never thought about it like that before until this very second.
Hmm.
And
Well,
so in my own immaturity, because I was not, I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know about my lack of maturity at that time.
yeah.
I wasn't gracious enough or kind enough to really hold her to account. I would
Yeah.
call the question and then I didn't hold the barrier. I didn't hold the line.
Yeah.
And uh, man, like people will say, "Well, what a terrible leader," and and to a degree, I think I was doing the best I could with what I knew, and I was
Yeah.
operating from a place of feeling like there was a threat, and the threat was, well, people are going to think I'm a jerk
Yeah.
if I do this, and what's probably true is like giving her an opportunity to be late for another employer would have spared me a lot of anger and frustration.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
might have set her up to find life and be valued in
Yeah.
another space. But I wasn't emotionally mature enough to actually do that at the time.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I maybe just want to say, like, I live in a small town too, and I think the threat is real on some level,
Sure,
you
of course.
know.
Yeah.
Um, I do think there's something important about how you say, like, you weren't mature enough to be able to handle those consequences, as
Hmm.
real as they might be,
Yeah.
but not have the meaning that you think they have. But yeah, I think that is such a great example, Chris. I mean, I have like clear as kind running through my mind. I mean,
Mm, right.
there's so many different opportunities there to talk about, like, man, she, he, I don't know if it was a she
Yeah.
or he.
Whatever.
You didn't say, I don't think, but maybe you did say. This person probably knew as well, and probably knew the stress it provide or caused in you, and these this person didn't love it either, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, the reasoning, the reasons were varied over time, but I think the reality is like sometimes it's just hard
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but being able to say what's true for me could have, I mean, really could have changed that relationship.
yeah,
And I think that like at the heart of this moment in history, like when emotional maturity is the greater skill, it feels like a softer skill. It's not the traditional ones that
yeah, yeah,
uh, business and leaders have really been taught and had forged into them.
yeah,
These are the things I think that I've learned along the way that make me a better leader today
yeah,
than, you know, there was a season where she was kind of a brain on a stick doing a thing for me. And some
yeah,
of it was because I wasn't able to say, I was controlled by my lack of
yeah,
being able to say, look, this doesn't work for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I appreciate how you say that. I mean, the idea then that her actions that cause you to have a reaction then affect how you uh show up with and for her. I mean, that is such an important distinction. And I don't think that makes you a bad leader. I actually think there's leaders listening to this. I mean, I think leaders every day. I mean, we talked about it in the last episode. I think sometimes we just think this is how it is, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I certainly don't say that to make you feel like you're a bad leader. Can I ask another question?
Uh-huh.
You said that over the course of that time, you would call the question about
Yeah.
the lateness.
Yeah.
What did that look like? And why do you think was it not effective?
Because I don't think I put any, there was never a real threat that I'm going to let you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't say, I'm a baseball guy. I never said two strikes, like
Yeah.
strike
Yeah.
two. I never
Yeah.
said it. Like there's a third one coming and you're out. I just
Yeah.
wasn't, and I wasn't clear. I don't think I probably communicated clearly enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm taking the responsibility for that. And um, yeah, like I said, the reasons were varied. And it's not like the commute was long.
Yeah. Yeah. You catch a couple bad
Yeah,
stoplights, you know?
right. I mean, but yeah, I think I think this is what I want to say. Like, leader, you don't have people showing up 7 minutes late, but you have other things happening with
Yeah.
your team. There are
Yeah.
and there are other things that are happening with your staffs, your with your boards, whatever, the other people in your system that create the opportunity for you to just keep doing the thing
Yeah.
and to be
Yeah.
controlled by other people's behavior. And
Yeah.
and that yeah, that's just I've gotten to a point where I think I'm perfectly clear that I'm responsible for all of the meanings I make
Yeah.
and for my reaction or lack thereof to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was talking to a leader the other day who has an employee, um, not 7 minutes late, but
Mhm.
has an employee that is doing something less than ideally. And this leader was able to identify that they have addressed it sort of passively,
Mm,
sort of like I'm gonna make kind of a comment about something, but I'm not gonna directly approach it, and I'm gonna hope that this person picks up on it and changes their way without me having to be direct, because that direct felt like it was dangerous, right?
mm.
That's where
Yeah.
when you talk about being responsible for ourselves, I mean, I think this is so common, and what this leader said was they don't pick up on it, right?
Mm.
Because it's not clear.
Yeah.
Um, and what's true is that that is not about this person's employee. This is about this leader's, uh, yeah, fear of feeling like they're not a good leader, fear of what people are going to think of them, fear of hard
Yep.
conversations, and again, that doesn't make this person a bad leader. It makes them human.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Yep.
and I think conventional wisdom would say this is the employee's fault, but you've said it 5 times already. I want to say it again that this is probably not ever the employee's fault. It's the leader's responsibility
Yep.
uh, to do the work to show up in a clear and kind and honest, authentic way.
Yeah. Yep. So how would you help the person you're talking about or me? What would the process look like? Like, how would you help us see things more clearly, perhaps? And how would you like get us on the right path?
Yeah, yeah. So the first question I ask this person is that effective?
Mm,
Because I know the answer. This person knows the answer, and there is something powerful about saying it out loud,
hmm.
not from a place of shame,
Right.
from a place of honesty to say what I've done is not working.
Yeah.
So now I have the agency to try something else.
Hmm.
Um, the second question for this person was, what outcome do you desire? Right?
Mm,
Like, what do you want to happen? Is
yes.
it, is it just I want this person to behave differently? Is it I want this person to behave differently and be able to have a conversation that builds a trusting relationship with you and this employee? Like, let's get clear on what you want,
Yeah.
what you hope for.
Mm,
And then the next question is, what keeps you from it? Like when you think about sitting in that space, what is
yeah.
the thing that's going to keep you from doing it?
Mm,
Because I do think it's always a threat, right?
yes.
Um,
Yep. Yeah. I
and
love those questions.
yeah, go ahead.
And I think if I was the questioner, or I think what would move me if you asked the next one would be, what is a step you can take in that direction?
Yes, yes,
Right?
yep,
Can you think of one thing you might be able to do to like actually do that then?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
then are you willing to give your word to doing that? And then I'll
Yeah.
see you next time and let's talk about what, talk about
Yeah.
how it went, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I give a tangible tool that I gave this person and
Please.
give a
Yeah.
lot of people?
Yeah.
Um, th This is maybe going to sound silly to the listener because I get how it sounds. I try to put myself, I try to time travel myself to the other side of meetings like that. So
Yeah.
I would say to this client, if you could put yourself magically on the other side of this conversation, if you're there and you looked back on that conversation, what would have to happen for you to say that went exactly how I wanted it to go?
Mm.
Meaning I showed up
Yeah.
how I wanted to show up.
Yep.
Not employee did what I wanted them to do, not employee heard it well, not employee didn't get upset. None of that is in this person's control. But what would have to happen for me to say I am happy with how I showed up and I did what I said I was going to do, and then work backwards to make that
Yes.
happen.
Yeah. Boy, that's really good. You're a good coach.
Thanks, Chris. I learned part of that from another really good coach who
Yeah.
happens to be on this podcast
That's
with me.
really, really good. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I wonder if we want to take just a super short break,
Yeah.
and then I have another sort of question I want to ask you about this, if that's okay.
Yeah. That'd be great.
What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't the challenge in front of you, but the promises that you've made to yourself? At Brimstone Coaching Group, we help teams, businesses, and organizations break through hidden barriers in our Promises Workshop. This is a hands on experience that helps you and your team identify and replace self limiting beliefs with purposeful promises that foster growth, confidence, and resilience. You can bring this powerful workshop to your company, nonprofit, or leadership team and start creating a culture of trust, collaboration, and transformation. Visit brimstonecoachinggroup.com to learn more. Welcome back, everybody, to the Brimstone Coaching Podcast. Chris here. Chris, something stirred up in me about a conversation I had on LinkedIn the other day with someone, and
Yeah.
I wanna put it out there and see if I'm making an appropriate connection. Is that okay?
Yeah. It's great.
So one of these connections I have on LinkedIn shared some thoughts about hard conversations at work and
Mhm.
tough conversations that leaders have to have with people that they lead, and the propensity we have to put them off and to avoid them.
Yeah.
Um, and what this person was theorizing was that avoiding that conversation, while it might feel good or might feel effective in the moment, is
Yeah.
actually over time going to require more of us than just simply having it in the moment. Am I hearing a connection between your story and that person's theory?
Yeah. I think I can make a connection between the two. Like here, let me see if I do this correctly
Yeah,
or reasonably in a way that's helpful.
yeah,
Like, so I think that like there were times when I didn't have the conversation because I didn't think it was worth the hassle.
yeah, yeah,
And there was a compounding effect so that like when I would go home, I would drag this person to my spouse. Like I
yeah,
would, and I would just be frustrated, right? So when I get home, I'm not present.
yeah,
I carry what I'm unwilling to say. It controls my mood, my attitude, the way I think about the other
yeah,
person, and then that bleeds into my relationships. And so then maybe I'm at a game and the ref blows a call as they are wont to do, and then because I'm carrying that with me, it does have impact.
yeah,
It simply
yeah,
does. Uh, and I would also say that I think there are times when I thought, well, I'm just gonna, it's not worth it. I'm just gonna let this go. That I think negatively, I've said this earlier, I think, where it negatively impacted my relationship with this other
yeah,
person.
Yeah.
But it also didn't, it also stunted her growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It stunted the ability to be able to do hard things, to show up on time, to like And I think it probably negatively, it also probably did not help the relationship with the rest of the team or with the rest of the staff, right? Because I never asked them, hey, how do y'all feel about this? But I'm sure that they had their own opinions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so those are several thoughts I have. How do you hear that? Am I answering in a way that's helpful?
I think so. I mean, I think you stirred something in me. I mean, I think the way you talked about carrying stuff around, um, I think that's absolutely true. I think of times where I've avoided hard conversations. I am not interacting with that person the same way the
Yeah.
next time because
Yep.
I am seeing them through the lens of the meaning I've made of them or the negative things I've attached to them that I can't say to them, you know?
Yeah.
That is the lens through which I'm engaging in that person or ha has been in the past. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the
Sure.
things that stood out in what you said, and that is not how I want to be, right?
No, exactly. I didn't. I mean, I think at that time I didn't want to be that way. I for sure don't want to be that way now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it like in present day, I will have those harder conversations. I'll
yeah,
be honest, like clear is kind, and
yeah,
I'll ask a question. Here's what I'm interpreting. Do you experience this the same way? Can we talk about the time of the day that you're arriving? Because I have had to do that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
say, here's the expectation. We start the day together, and then you're free to move on or go do whatever it is you do. But come by
yeah,
my office and say hi, good morning. It's
yeah,
kind, and I know you're here. and,
yeah, yeah,
and that way I can answer to people I answer to about where you're not. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Can I say something just to bounce it off of you?
mhm.
I don't know how to ask a question of you to get to this, so
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say it.
Say it. Yeah.
I think one of the things stirring in me is when I think about hard conversations, or I think about things that I need to name that might be hard to name to people. I think there are times when I have chosen to say, not right now, right?
Yeah.
Where it's wise and it's prudent.
Yep.
Um, I mean, your small town example feels like such a good example. Like, I think you and I have swam in some similar waters, and I've made that decision to say, not right now.
Yeah.
Um, and I think what seems so important for me, and I think for us, is to say if I'm going to make that decision, then I feel like I also need to let go of resentment. I also need to figure out how to let go of looking negatively upon the person that I'm intentionally saying
Yes.
I'm not going to have this conversation right now. And that's my decision,
Yep.
not their fault.
Yes, sir.
Is that coaching heresy?
No. No. Like, so let's think about that for a second as we think about emotional maturity. And I didn't ask you to redefine it today the way
Yeah,
you defined it in our previous episode,
it's a
which,
good
yeah, I
thing.
mean, because I wonder if you would be able to say it exactly the same way. I loved the way you defined it, but there was a degree to which I think you being able to show up in the world and in any situation the way you prefer to, uh, as often as is humanly possible, is the way I would say it. This is our desire,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And so I think what that says then about any situation or circumstance we find ourselves in, if it's somebody being tardy or they're not holding up their end of the deal, if they're not performing their job, if they're not doing a thing,
yeah,
us being willing to say what is true for us in that moment comes from our best thinking. I need to
yeah,
take a break. I
yeah,
can't, I'm going to hold it. This is not the right time. Uh, and there are times when I can do that. When my
yeah,
best thinking says, "Oh, don't say that."
yeah, yeah,
You need to think more clearly about that and say it in a way that empowers the other person and doesn't tear
yeah,
them down.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know that I can dismantle another person in under 45 seconds
Yeah.
if I am not using my best thinking,
Yeah.
because I do not want to do that. That is not my responsibility as a leader in this day and age of my life.
Yeah.
My responsibility is to equip and empower people to be who they desire to be, and
Yeah.
whatever role and capacity that is. So I think there's power in being able to wait. And then I think there's power in accessing our best thinking and being unafraid
Yeah.
when it is time to say
Yeah.
the thing that we really need to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does
Yeah.
that feel?
I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, so the example is an organization I led in the past had a person similar to your example that just was fully uh not fully doing what we needed. And I think my my best thinking said it's time for a change, but then the reality is my best thinking said here are the consequences,
Yeah.
and I'm not right now today willing to accept those
Yeah.
consequences.
Yep.
So the work then is I've made a decision for me,
Hmm.
right? I've made the decision that I'm not going to accept those consequences today. So then my interactions with with the person in question cannot reflect anything other than my decision, right?
Yes. Yep.
The resentment cannot be present because I made the decision. Like I own the
Hmm.
decision that I've made, not the person in question. Does that I think that's the work then is
Yes.
doing the
Yeah.
work to own what is
To
ours.
own any decision that we make, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, because that decision then doesn't really control me. Even
yes,
so, like that's the thing for me is because I deeply resist being controlled. I don't want to do things that are going to wind up controlling me. And if I'm
yeah,
unwilling to say something, okay. But if my best thinking says, yeah, like I'm choosing to not do what conventional wisdom might even tell me to do
yeah,
because of the ramifications, if I've thought through it and it's not from a place of, oh, like
yeah,
cowardice.
yeah,
But if it is genuinely, here's what is in the best interest of the organization today and
yeah,
into the next few weeks. Okay, I can go. I can,
yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
there were times that I did let people go, and and then I paid the piper on that. Normally, I was
yeah,
as the business owner, I was the one that picked up the slack. It wasn't the
yeah,
rest of the people.
yeah,
I carried it. And you want to talk about impacting other, I mean, there was impact.
yeah,
It did impact the other staff members because there's some things that I can do that I don't care to. And then like, yeah, then
yeah,
I'm less pleasant.
yeah,
and 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 then I take that home, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's true. So uh,
yeah,
being emotionally mature, I think helps us to not be fused to situations where we can't get untangled from them,
yeah,
right? And so like I'm just brushing on something that because we're gonna have to get out of here in a couple of minutes. But
yep, yep,
like there are times when we are so enmeshed and entangled in um, things that are alive in us with interpersonally,
yeah,
interpersonally with other people, interpersonally with ourselves that
yeah,
keep us stuck and stopped and unable to access our best thinking. Because
yeah,
it's our best thinking, I think, that enables us to show up in the places and spaces in the ways that we have decided that we prefer to be.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's gold, my
I
friend.
don't know.
You brushed on something that I think actually gets at the root of this being controlled and why it feels like being
Yeah.
controlled and the fusion, the enmeshment, the connection. Yeah, yeah. I think you
Eh,
I don't know what else to say, but finish that up. Finish
well,
that thought up.
yeah. I think to understand who we are and how we want to be, and then having the tools and the resources available at our disposal to be able to use them, that's everything, because then I
Yeah.
can actually, I do have the agency of which you speak. I do have an understanding of why I do the things I do when I do them. I didn't 20 years ago when
Yeah.
I was like day to day with this other person
Yeah.
and was frustrated and angry often. I didn't know what I didn't know then.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And I think that the world is increasingly aware of the idea, at least the concept, the construct
Yeah.
that is emotional intelligence and being emotionally mature.
Yeah.
Um, and like if you are aware of it, then it's up to you, it's up to me to step into it.
Yeah. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
That's right. How would you invite the listener? What are a couple of ways that you can think of off the top of your head or off of your left shoulder, maybe, to engage in the work of becoming increasingly emotionally mature?
Yeah, yeah, that was, man, you are expert level at this, Chris. Uh yeah, I mean, I think the first way is off my left shoulder.
Yeah.
We have a book out, listener, called Live Fully, Lead Authentically. It's the surprising link between self-awareness and your impact. This is a book filled with stories of our own growth, our own learning, also learning of people we've had the pleasure of walking with in their own journeys. But it's also filled with tools and practices that might just give a glimpse into the work that we do in our own lives and in the lives of those we have the joy of working with. So you can pick that up, listener, at the website link in the description of this podcast through our website, brimstonecoachinggroup.com. There's a book order tab right on top, or Amazon or Barnes and Noble. That is probably the easiest way, other than this podcast, to get
Yeah.
to know the work that we do.
Yep.
The other way, we offer a free initial inquiry call with Chris or I or both of us. If you, listener, or your organization wants to learn more about how not to be controlled by the things that
Yeah.
that we can't name, or can't name the things that are controlling us,
Mm.
um, we offer a free call. You can find that on our website. Again, brimstonecoachinggroup.com. We'd love to have that conversation, either with an individual or with a team leader. We'd love to do that.
I love the way you inverted that and turn it on its head. Like there are things that we can't say that control us, but there's also things that control us that we can't name.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why we exist, is to help you discover those things so that you can actually live fully and lead authentically. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for the conversation today, Kurt, and to you, listener, for joining us. Uh, again, click the link in the show notes, and we will talk to you and with you next time.